Disney's been remaking a lot of the animated films, and now we have probably the quickest they've turned one of them into a live-action movie. The original Moana is a charming and likable adventure with an excellent soundtrack, but producing a remake so quickly is sort of surprising. Although it's possible this is being made so Dwayne Johnson can still play Maui in live action. With Thomas Kail, the director of the acclaimed stage musical Hamilton, behind the camera on this Moana remake, how did I think it translated? Of all the Disney remakes, this is absolutely the most faithful to the original, and I don't mean that as a positive. Anyone who's seen my reviews of the other remakes, as well as the How to Train Your Dragon remake, will know at this point that I don't find it interesting when they just take the animated movie and do it again shot for shot. Through the entirety of the runtime, I just keep being reminded of the other superior version I could be watching at home, and all I'm really doing in the theater is noticing when they've gotten to each redone scene. Watching the Moana remake, it really felt like Kail, the cinematographer and the visual effects team, had the original movie playing right by their side, and the only direction was just do that again. It makes the whole movie feel like reheated leftovers because, well, it is. Does that make it necessarily bad? I mean, on a production level, this movie is competently put together, but there's so little creativity on display, and the movie struggles to stand on its own. Outside of little tweaks here and there, like the removal of the tweeting joke, the script is largely unchanged. Seeing the scenes play out again, though, I felt pretty much no emotion, and the jokes did not land because, well, I'm already expecting them. There's not a single element of surprise here, and it's basically the equivalent of Gus Van Sant's Psycho remake. Okay, I'm harping a lot on the repeats from the original, but is there anything else I can comment on? I thought Dwayne Johnson gave a good performance, even if he's not exactly stretching himself here. He clearly loves playing Maui, whether in voiceover or in live action, and his enthusiasm for the role does come through. Catherine Laga'aia is okay as Moana, but she's restricted by being directed to act the same as her animated counterpart, so I hope she gets more opportunities to really show what she's capable of. The songs are performed decently enough, although You're Welcome is the only musical number that actually does some creative things. Eric Goldberg was even brought back to provide new hand-drawn animation for Maui's tattoo, with another legendary Disney animator, Randy Haycock, also being credited. The filmmakers do clearly have a lot of respect for Polynesian culture, and care does seem to have been taken to make sure it's depicted properly. Really, the whole movie is just safe and inoffensive, and I was not necessarily annoyed watching it. I was just bored, as I constantly played back the original movie in my head. In fact, the thought that crossed my mind is why Disney has not brought Moana to the stage. I feel like Thomas Kail, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and the writers would have been given a lot more freedom to adapt the material in a creative way. Imagine what they would have done with the sailing scenes, or how musical numbers like Shiny could have been staged in that environment. With this movie, they're basically asking the visual effects artists at ILM and Weta to reanimate scenes that Walt Disney Animation already made, and not even that long ago. They might even still have the original renders in their files. This is not a case like The Lion King, where they're experimenting with new tech and doing something in a vastly different visual style. They're taking a computer-animated film, reanimating scenes to make them slightly more photorealistic, building a few sets, and placing live actors in the environments. I know Disney is often in a no-win scenario with these remakes. There are people like me who don't want to see the exact same movie again and want to see them be inventive with the stories, while there also exist viewers who do want to experience the story told the exact same way with minimal changes. So the filmmakers have to choose which group to satisfy with these remakes. For me personally, I don't feel much excitement seeing anime movies being recreated exactly scene by scene, and prefer a bit more experimentation if they're going to do this. This feels like a movie I have no reason to return to when Ron Clements and John Musker already made it 10 years ago, and in a way that felt a lot fresher and more creative. Admittedly, I've not hated any of the remakes, and don't feel the same anger that I've noticed others have towards them. But I do think Moana stands as one of the weakest ones, largely because it is such a copy and paste. I hope Thomas Kail will get the opportunity to direct a movie that really allows him to flex his creative muscles, and I guess we'll see if the live-action Tangled will do something different or be another shot-for-shot remake.